How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am back today to continue my James Bond movie countdowns with a review of Thunderball. If you've seen this movie, be sure to leave a comment in the comment section about what you think of this movie. And if you're new here, be sure to like this video and subscribe to my channel. I'm at 96 subscribers, trying to get to 100, so it'd really help me out. And without out of the way, let's get into this review. So Thunderball came out in 1965 and is directed by Terrence Young, and this is the fourth Bond film starring Sean Connery as James Bond. And when I was younger, I didn't really care for this movie. I thought it was really boring, but as I've gotten older, I've liked it more and more to the point where I think it's actually a really good Bond film. It still has moments where it's a little slow, but overall, I really like this one, and I don't know, sometimes when I see where people are coming from where it's slow, I think I just like it because it's focused around water so much, and I just love the location, and the places where they are underwater just like really neat. Reminds me of places I've snorkeled and scuba dived, so it just makes me happy, I guess. But I still think it's a really solid Bond film. Like, the plot, I think, is really good for it. Sean Connery, again, is great in the role. It has exotic locations. The Bond girl, I think, is pretty good. Not the most memorable, but pretty good. I like that they have like a henchwoman in this instead of a henchman. And there's a great scene with her when she's eventually killed. The whole scene where they're chasing him through the big festival and those Bond and the henchwoman are dancing, and the sound of the music's increasing, and he notices the gun pointed at him, and at the right moment he turns her, and she gets shot. I really like that whole scene. It was really intense, and I loved the one-liner afterwards when he asked this couple if his friend could sit in the chair with them. He said, "Oh, don't worry, she's just dead." It was really funny. This movie actually has, I think, some of the best one-liners. There's some really funny ones in my opinion. So this movie focuses a bit more on Spectre. Again, Goldfinger sort of went away from Spectre. Like the first two were focused on Spectre and villains from Spectre. This one goes back to that on, I think the villain's name is Largo, and he's running this Thunderball operation where he's stolen some, I think they're missiles or nukes, I can't actually quite remember, but he steals them, and he's threatening to send them to a major city unless like London pays a certain amount of money. So that was nice. I thought it was a pretty good plot for, you know, that era of Bond. The villain himself is alright. He's got some good scenes with Bond, but other than his eye patch, he's not particularly memorable. But he worked for the story, and I know a lot of people say when the movie's underwater, it gets really boring, and they say there's too much of this movie underwater, and honestly, I don't feel like there's a whole lot underwater. There's definitely a fair amount of scenes, but compared to what the whole movie is, there's not that much, and I enjoy them for the most part. Like, the final climatic action scene takes place underwater, and I really enjoyed it. Like, I could always tell which was the, you know, Spectre people and which was the good guys, and I thought they did a really good job filming it. This movie looked really good. I will say, I don't think this movie handled the action quite as well as the previous movies. Like, that final underwater battle I thought was great, but some of the other scenes, specifically the final sort of fight between Bond and the villain while they're on his boat, I don't think were done too great. They were edited very choppy, and I don't know, some of the shots they were clearly sped up and it didn't look very good. And then there's times like when they're on their boat, they're clearly in this little cabin that they built, and they got this screen in front of like the windows because you just see the same shots of these islands repeated, and yeah, it just wasn't great. The opening fight is a bit like that too, but not quite as bad as the last one. But some of the other scenes, like I said, the underwater one, the chase through that big festival going on, that was all great. So overall, I can see where people are coming from when they say they find this movie boring. There's definitely moments for me when it does get slow, but for the most part, I was really entertained. Some of the action wasn't quite as good, but there was still some great action sequences. I love the location. The location just made me happy, so that's maybe partly why I like this movie. And I really like the story they told in this one. I thought it was a good classic Bond story. Sean Connery was still great in this, I thought. Some of the supporting characters like Felix I thought was really good. I just had a good time, and I do think this one's a little underrated for the Bond films, so I would recommend this one for sure. I would give Thunderball about an 84%. I think it's a very good movie, not quite as good as Goldfinger or From Russia with Love, but very good. So guys, be sure to let me know what you thought of Thunderball, and again, if you're new here, be sure to like this video and subscribe to my channel, and stay tuned for some of my upcoming videos. I am currently watching the first season of Stranger Things, because I'm very late to the game on that, but I'm watching that now, and coming to the end of it. Hopefully I'll have a review for that season maybe up on Friday, so stay tuned for that as well. Of course, more James Bond reviews and reviews for some other movies, like I'm thinking of doing the 355 and Chip and Dale down the road, so stay tuned for those, and until my next video, take care everybody.